I have a cold. My ears are clogged up. And I'm holding this Bearbell protein bar. Obviously not sponsored with our small channel, but I'm gonna be taste testing their hazelnut bar real quick. This is good. It's fine. It needs salt. If you also love Bearbells, I would go for the salty peanut to start. And then other people I've talked to have mixed reviews on the chocolate dough, but I love the chocolate dough because it has a great salt balance. So I'm gonna really enjoy this, but not my favorite Bearbell. Today, I'm gonna be walking you through how I'm bringing English design into my new home. My husband and I bought a house recently a couple hours south from Nashville, Tennessee in my hometown of Chattanooga. We're actually renting it right now, but this is the perfect time to start the design process. And we're gonna be starting off with the dining room. How I'm gonna be bringing English design into this space is I am going to be fully saturating the dining room in color. Yes, I am so excited to bring in this English design element that English design just does so well, which is saturating the entire room in color rather than an off-white or a neutral, which we all have a tendency to do since we survived the early 2010s neutral wash of all of our spaces. We are unafraid of making a color commitment. Yes, we are going to invest in the space and create a beautiful, cozy cocoon based on a selection of a color. So hang with me for just a second, but my dining room is going to be inspired by a tinge of dark academia. I want a dining room that also brings in the heritage and the feeling of an antique space by having bookshelves, a nod to a library. So it'll be part library, part dining room, a Dynabrary. Right, that's not going viral. Dynabrary is not going viral. English design is inspiring the library dining room by having bookshelves that are filled out with the perfect amount of clutter. Yes, this is something that English design does so well. English design has the perfect amount of clutter. Yes, it's true. In order to have that cozy, comforting, lovely space, English design has the perfect amount of clutter. Having a few books that you've collected over the years, having a few collected pieces, that is what makes the space feel lived in and charming. We have the fully saturated walls in an olive green. Yes, I'm so excited about this color. And the ceiling is either going to be wallpapered or dark green, which I'm leaning towards, this forest green to offset the olive. When we think about the whole space as dimension and as a palette, we start to create depth. We start to create that sense of coziness. So that is something that I'm bringing in inspired by English design, is a fully saturated space. And to bring in a design principle I just love, I'm thinking about the depth between the olive green and the forest green, moving from light to dark. You can do this too. Incorporate two colors on your walls in your room, a lighter shade of the color and the darker shade of that color, and painting the trim the darker shade, painting the walls the light, or vice versa. The trim the lighter shade, the walls the dark, and this brings in so much charm. So, number 2, paint your trim. Next up, collecting antiques. So, recently, I have become completely unafraid of antiques and vintage pieces. I believe that antiquing requires getting to know different periods. The reason being, you want to educate your eye on the good stuff versus the stuff that is a replication of the good stuff, and know the difference so you know what you're investing in. How you're gonna do that is you're gonna go to firstdibs.com or cherish.com and you're gonna type in the search bar, dining room chairs, whatever furniture piece you're looking for, and then you're gonna see the results. A lot of it you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is the most hideous furniture I've ever seen. It's okay, I do the same thing. I think I'm like, this is a disaster. There will be that one hidden in the rough item that you're like, wow, that's it. So when you find that item you really love in the cherish.com and firstdibs.com search results from the furniture item you've searched, you know you're onto something. Now, likely that piece is gonna be too expensive to invest in. So what I would say is then take that piece and look out for it on Facebook Marketplace, on eBay, on Etsy for a good deal. And make sure it's not a replica, it's the original, unless you're okay with a replica. The next thing that English Design does so well that I'm gonna be bringing into my dining room is layering pattern. So beyond layering color, we're layering pattern in the space. We're gonna have upholstered furniture items, we're going to have upholstered dining chairs, and I'm leaning towards this dark forest dining chair because I'm wanting to layer texture into the space. This is something that English Design does so well, and here are a few examples. Upholstering your dining room chairs is a great way to start dipping your toe into upholstery without going for the full Monty of custom furniture. Custom furniture is very intimidating, although this is something that English Design does so well. So if you are looking for custom furniture, definitely reach out. That's something I'd love to help you with as a designer myself, but it is hard to navigate as someone without a designer doing it on their own. The next tip you may have never heard before, but I think English Design does so well, is design a space that carries you across 4 seasons. And we say this all the time, but let's talk about what it means to mean it. Because if you design a space for the summer and the holidays roll around and you chose really summery colors, how are you gonna fill in that space? That is something that's actually been an irk of mine recently. Why are we changing our decor every season? But let's design a 4-season space. How I'm accomplishing this in my own home, and I think English Design does so well, is I'm actually starting with colors I think in a color palette that I think is going to work really, really well in the summer and the winter. How does that color work once the Christmas tree's up? So I'll give you an example. The reason I'm going for the olive green and the dark forest green is because I think that room is gonna be so cozy and beautiful in the summer and the winter. What do you think about this idea of designing for 4 seasons in one room in one go so we don't have to redecorate every season? I wanna know what you think. So between the painted walls, the upholstered antique dining room chairs, the antique dining table, the thoughtful old rug, there are so many items in here that are inspired by English Design. And I'll wrap it up by saying this. When you look at a picture that you just love, maybe it's inspired by English Design, maybe it's another design style, get very specific about what it is you love. Maybe you just love a window treatment. Maybe you just love a blanket, the placement of it, the folding. Every little detail counts. And again, what I love most about English Design is how highly personal it is. So thanks again for tuning in this week. This is how I'm gonna go about using English Design to inspire my new home, specifically today in my dining room. And I'm very excited to continue building out the vision together for our homes. So I hope you enjoyed these tips. I hope they're helpful, and I really look forward to seeing you next time.